What's going on, guys? So I got a really neat deck coming at you today. A little bit different. It's not a request or anything, but so kind of story behind it goes, I was trying to create a formula in Excel to kind of rank these cards, basically giving them a plus power per turn, kind of making it to where I can see each card gets basically a value. A bunch of equations calculate through. So it's pretty neat. It's kind of how I want to do a limited legendary video in the future. Going to base it off, a card's maximum potential. But then again, I'm also going to probably bust them into cards that are flexible and can be used in almost any deck. And then cards that are very specific, because obviously it's tough to compare the two when certain cards are very, very specific requirements to make them good versus any card you can just, a card you can just throw in any deck that's automatically going to be good. Obviously is a much better card, more sought after, but is its maximum potential really as good as some of those others? That's what I want to see. And I have it broke down. So not only would just the highest energy costed card that puts out the most power isn't necessarily the best card, because there might be a card that only costs 2 energy that is putting out more power per energy is basically what I'm looking at. So just on the future, I just kind of want to discuss. But as I was putting that list together and kind of testing it, one card stuck out to me that I'd never seen anybody play before. And it really surprised me because the power level on it's for a specific deck, obviously, but the power level seemed really strong. So we're going to take a look at it, and it pertains to this Forces of Nature deck. So the card is this card. I don't even know how to say it. I don't even know if I want to try. We're just going to call it It's. So It's is the card, and it says, when drawn, if your deck contains Frost and at least one Natural Monuments card, your Forces of Nature cards gain plus 18 permanently. So if you have a deck just chock full of Forces of Nature cards, that's a significant buff to all those cards. I mean, just think about the potential. If you draw this card 3 times in a game, that's a lot of permanent power on, especially if you have, like this deck, I think I have 12 Forces of Nature cards in it. So that's a huge buff, right? So that's what got me curious to try this deck out of nowhere, because this deck wasn't even on my list of upcoming decks. But I was like, wow, and I bet I can get this card really quickly and do a quick video. So no doubt I was able to trade this, I think, for like 2 epics, and just somebody was just trying to chuck it at me, basically. So here it is. So I want to show off this card's true potential. So obviously we did a Force of Nature deck. So let's take a look at some of the other cards here. We've got Eureka. When returned, your science cards, wherever they are, gain plus 16 power this round. And if you won the turn, your remaining cards gain plus 10 until played. So not a Force of Nature card, but we do have quite a few. Aurora Borealis is a Force of Nature card. Sorry, I'm still battling this cold here. My throat's a little jacked up, so bear with me. But this card says, when returned, gain plus 30 power this round. So if we can get that out turn 1, the next 2 turns we can take advantage. It gets a nice 60 power there for us. We have Thunderstorms. This is, I believe, our only way to gain energy permanently in the deck, and it is Force of Nature. That's why we have it. Leonardo da Vinci. Our deck is almost pure science, aside from just a select few cards. So it is going to, 9 times out of 10, take the full buff on our science cards when played. So very nice there. Next up, we have one of the few cards that we included that isn't science, and it is Golly Crater. When drawn, your science cards, wherever they are, gain plus 12 until this is returned to your deck. So essentially, we draw this card. We just want to sit and hold it for the whole game and just let it do its thing. Just basically a permanent buff to everything from just holding on to it. So that's the premise of that. We don't have a whole lot of cards that we need to hold in this deck, so I like to always keep at least one card with like a start ability or something like this that is just a dead card. like a Hanging Gardens, maybe locks, and then, it's just basically playing with 4 cards the rest of the game. I think it's worth it if it gives a nice buff. So next up, Perfect Storm. And this card combos really well with this It's card. So Perfect Storm, when returned, your opponent's science cards, wherever they are, cost +1 energy. So kind of a counter to some other science decks running around, like Sue Bones, for instance. So great counter to Sue Bones for that. And then your Force of Nature cards gain 15 permanently. So again, another permanent buff on our Force of Nature cards. So you can imagine just the buff between this one +15 and then this one +18. Those Force of Nature cards are going to get huge. All right, next up we have Jetstream. Again, your Forces of Nature cards gain +11 this turn. And if it's the first turn of a round, they gain an additional 22. So nice potential on that card if we can play it on that turn 1. Next up, I've got Hair Ice. If you're trailing by 50 power or less, this card gains 75 this turn. So could be a nice big swing card if we need it, and obviously fits our Force of Nature, which is why we have it. Its card did say we need at least 1 natural monument, so this is the natural monument we chose. Door to Hell, great, strong, powerful card. You all know it. This card's fantastic, so that's why we have it. It's going to give everything +50 on the turn. So looking at my sheet again, the one that spotted the card it actually had this card rated higher than I expected as well. And this card says, so this card kind of flies under the radar a little bit as well, I think. But for the power you're going to get per each energy, it's a little bit higher than it looks. So don't sleep on this card in science decks. When played, if played in the left or right slot, your science cards in hand gain +18 for this turn and next turn. So decent power there for only 4 energy. So in this type of deck with all science cards, or mostly all science cards, very strong. It actually rated higher on my spreadsheet by, power calculation, basically mathing everything out. It rated higher than Eureka, surprisingly. It also rated higher than, it was a card I didn't include. It was Einstein. It actually rated higher than Einstein as well. So I was like, okay, well, we're going to try this one out. This card actually rated really high in this specific deck. So when drawn, Force of Nature cards, wherever they are, cost +1 energy. So we're going to take a hit on our energy, which my sheet does account for that. Basically, it's a -10 for each energy it's hitting for each of these cards. So it does have a negative effect. But on the back end, you gain +16 power until played on all your Force of Nature cards. So nice buff there. And it's only a 2-drop, so pretty good. Next up, so the last 6 cards down here, just Force of Nature cards, as you can see. Got Mudslide, just gains a little +20 if you're losing. Midnight Sun gains +14 power on the round, so if you can get that down turn 1, obviously, takes full advantage. A nice card here that we need in the deck, I feel like, to give our cards discount. So Force of Nature cards going to get a discount. Obviously, we have a lot of pretty expensive cards up top, and the only way that we get energy is through Thunderstorm. So having the discount comes in handy. We've just got a couple common cards down here. Earthquakes, Clouds. Frost is actually required in the deck for So it says if your deck contains Frost. So have to have that card in the deck for it to work. So that's the deck, guys, in a nutshell. So let's go try her out and see what you guys think. So we're going to go Leagues deck. Probably could do this in casual. I could probably tweak it a little bit too, and probably make it casual just because there's some nice cheap cards down here. I actually had a couple other 1-drops in when I was testing it. I had Blizzard, I think, was one of the cards I had in. I tried out, I think it was Hurricane, the one that locks all the cards, but made it kind of awkward just because I had a few cards that needed to be played on turn 1, so sometimes it would lock unexpectedly and it would kind of screw me over a little bit. So I decided just to cut it. I felt like there was better options, especially looking at my sheet. So here we go. Let's give her a try. I was pretty excited to build this one, so I'm really hoping we can win for this video. Just because this deck was, I think it was really fun to build. As I saw this idea, I was like, oh man, I really want to make this thing happen. So we drew our Galley Crater right on the rip. And one of our cards that's for the round, so let's go ahead and play it. And we'll do Earthquakes. I want to get Clouds building up a little bit better. Looks like we're up against a Feudal Japan. I actually had a sub request one of those decks, so probably try making that in the future. I actually probably need to keep an eye out on what he plays, so can if anything looks specifically really good, I can try to scoop it up. That card right there looks pretty decent. Hitting pretty hard right out the gate. All right, there's our Eureka. You saw our It's just came into play as well. Perfect turn for Hair Ice since we are down less than 50. I'm debating if I probably want to hold Eureka until the start of next round. Debating though. Yeah, I want to get that full advantage off of it. Don't think we need it yet. I could be wrong. You guys can comment if I screwed that up, if you would have played it, but I don't know. Card's a little weaker, I think, because we have Galley Crater in our deck. So it's not the cards returned, because we don't really play Galley. It's just going to kind of hang out. So that plus 10 until played kind of goes a little wasted on it. You can see these cards are already hitting pretty decently hard. Not nothing crazy yet, but you'll see late game as all these permanent buffs start hitting. This deck does start hitting a lot harder. Oh, let me get a sip of my tea out here, letting it cool off. Just hoping it helped my throat out a little bit so you guys don't have to hear me all hoarse. But I was so excited to record this video, I couldn't wait another day for my throat to get better. All right, there's our Eureka. We drew our Perfect Storm. We definitely want to get it back in. So let's do it like this. All right, got a slight lead here on the beginning. Eureka's going to trigger though, along with Perfect Storm, so we're going to see a nice buff on all our Force of Nature and Science cards there. We didn't have as many Force of Nature cards as I hoped there for our Downburst. Let me think here. So Aurora Borealis, maybe we just play it now, even though we're not going to get the full benefit. And yeah, let's do it like this. There's quite a lot to think about with this deck. It's kind of a neat one to pilot, actually. So definitely, if you guys are looking for something a little bit unique that you don't see every day, I feel like this is a neat deck. Very fun. So definitely check it out if it looks up your alley. All right, we drew our Leonardo. So probably going to get it down now. I think maybe Jetstream wants turn 1 too, doesn't it? Yeah, let's hold Jetstream till next turn. I think we can do better. We probably win with 320 here. It's going to be close. He might get us. No, he got that ninja combo off, so he got us this turn, or this round. It's okay, though. This deck only gets stronger as the game goes on. All right. Let's see what turn or round 3 brings for us. There's our buff. It's getting everything plus 18 again. So these cards are just getting bigger and bigger. Let's get him back cycling. Or do we wait? Because I want to get Jetstream in too. But we could probably just play it like this. Yeah. That might not be right, but I want to get It's one more time on that last round. So just keep getting that buff. You can see the power of this thing's starting to slowly get bigger and bigger. It's pretty good on energy, too. We still got quite a bit of energy. 42. There's our Hair Ice. Probably going to hold that for now. If he starts to catch us here. But it's like consistent every turn. We're putting down decent power, which is what I like. Oh, yeah, that was a nice turn for him. 450. So in my testing with this, I think my largest turn I had in, I think it was round 5, I was putting down like 650. So it can get up to, with some good door to hell turns, get up pretty high. Let's get our Perfect Storm, our door to hell. And let's get our Mudslide in. Another 450 turn. I'll take that. Opponent keeping up, though. He's not too far behind us, but we're slowly inching him out with all these buffs. Cards are just slowly growing. All right, there's round 3 in the books. And we drew our Eureka right on time. Aurora Borealis as well. And let's get our Downburst down, so if we're behind, we can, looks like we probably will be behind, we can get that Hair Ice next turn. There we go. So I think we are a little bit behind, which is looks like, yeah, right where we need to be, trailing by 50 or less. There's our nice Eureka buff. So if we end up winning this, I'm probably just going to do just this one game. As much as I'd love to do 2, I felt like my intro was pretty long, and then my throat also is kind of a little annoying, so I hate to sit here and just keep talking all day, you know. You guys are probably, get out of here, you suck. There you go, guys. Don't sleep on that card right there. I don't know how to say it. Archea. I got you guys. Some of my subscribers laughing at how I say stuff around here. I'm from the South, guys. I can't help it. There we go. There's our Itzel trigger. So we might just play our max here and see if we can close this out. Even though it's not the best timing on that card. I think we're going to see if we can just secure this win right here. Come on, It's. Show us what you're made of. That's it. Not too shabby. We put down, let's see how much. Some good power. That's only round 3. Already putting down, or what was that, round 4? I almost want to see what that was, but yeah, that's the deck, guys. You can see it did fairly well. It's obviously building up slowly as the game goes on, but definitely a strong deck. Like I said, this Itzel Itzla Colloquy. I don't even know how to say it, but definitely a decent card. Like I said on my sheet, it definitely shot up on the power level per energy. It's basically, I broke it down power per energy. So, and then I based it on the cards, like extra energy. So like I have a baseline set. Every card that, a 1 energy card needs a minimum 10 power. So that's my baseline. So I end up subtracting it out of the card once you add everything together to get like basically a card's positive power per energy. And that's what I base it off of. So really this card outshined most of my cards that I had started adding. So pretty cool. But more to come on that. So keep your eye out for, I'll probably slowly start doing most of the cards, at least limited legendary cards, and see what kind of neat surprises I figure out, because I'm going to be able to spot cards that are flying under the radar and try making some decks with them. So you might get to see some cool decks like this pop up for cards that are very specific at least. But all right, guys, if you like the video, like the content, please hit that subscribe button down in the corner, and just keep an eye out. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night.